and welcome to the BullCast podcast. I'm Katie Pickler, or as I was earlier this week, I was Sparkles the Elf.
That's interesting.
Well, guys, we're right around Christmas time right now, and so I do have my elf BullCast friends with me today. I've got Cort Winsett.
I am not an elf.
Yes, you are. You're an angry elf. And then we've got Cameron Spann,
Howdy.
our spunky elf.
There you go. Super spunky.
We are coming to you the week before Christmas. And so obviously, if you are like me, you were doing last minute shopping. You're kind of trying to figure out everything, your budget. Hopefully, you're still sticking to it. I hope so, everybody. As always, we're a financial podcast. We're going to kind of make this one a more lighthearted, fun one because it is Christmas time. But of course, we're going to throw some financial nuggets in there and some knowledge for you. So we're going to start out, we're kind of actually merging two ideas for this episode. And so we're going to start out talking about Dirty Santa. It's Dirty Santa. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of like the white elephant. It's the gift exchange game where people will bring gifts to a party and they'll put them in the center and everyone draws numbers and they get to pick and they don't know what the gifts are. Some people do them and they're all very funny, like true the white elephant type gifts. I know some people cycle out certain gifts. We made a joke within my husband's family that his grandmother passed away recently. And so for Dirty Santa this year, we should have some of the more eclectic things from his grandmother's house. And so, but our rules would be if you got it, you had to hold on to it for a year and display it. So there's lots of different rules that happen with Dirty Santa. But so we're going to go into a little bit of a would you rather instead of a list. Cort, you want to start with this?
Would you rather receive a hilariously bad gag gift you can't use or get a super practical gift you never want to use? I'm all about super practical gifts.
Yeah,
So,
I'd agree. Yeah.
But it's a super practical gift you'll never want to use.
yeah, well, that just basically means like a vacuum cleaner or something. And I'd much rather have vacuum cleaner, something that might make me chuckle, depending on my mood, but that I'll never use or look at again.
You could re-gift the practical gift to somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't love gag gifts. That's just me. It's almost like a throwaway. It's like, oh, you wasted money.
You wasted money,
for like
yeah.
a quick laugh.
Yeah.
I like the ones where they've gotten, like Amazon will sell these boxes that look like it's some like crazy thing. And that, so it's just, they paid extra for the wrapping, essentially. And it's funny. Would you rather have your gift stolen by everyone because it's so popular or end up with the least wanted gift of the game?
Ooh, so as the gift recipient or as the gift giver? Because I have very, very different perspectives on this, depending. I would hate to be the person who gave the gift that was clearly the least popular.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, I give alcohol because somebody's going to want the alcohol. So
And it's always so popular.
Yeah, I never try and get real creative with my gifts because the few times that I've tried to get creative with my gifts, the person who was the recipient of my gift always looked disappointed. So I'm just like, nah, screw it. I'm just doing alcohol. In terms of being the recipient, I'm of a couple of different minds on this because if you have a gift that gets stolen, then you have to get a new gift and hope that it's good too. Or if you have the gift that nobody else wants, then...
Well, I think there's also like a bunch of side deals that happen after the game. Have you ever noticed that?
Yes.
Like there are people that'll be like switching or splitting their gifts up, things like that. So I think it'd be kind of fun to have your gift be the one that gets passed around a lot, not the one that's like, womp womp, nobody wants it. And that the person is trying to hawk off like, hey, don't you want this?
I think we're going to see a lot more non-alcoholic gifts at our own Dirty Santa this year because we have quite a few people who are non-drinkers.
Yeah.
So, or either can't or don't drink this year. So
Would you rather get a giant tub of mayonnaise as a gift or a single lonely sock? I'm going sock because mayonnaise is gross.
I'm going mayonnaise because mayonnaise is delicious.
Katie, where do you stand?
I mean, mayonnaise would at least be able to like go in the pantry and be used to like make stuff. But I also like the sock would be hilarious. Like I get a little frame, stick it in the laundry room, like the lonely sock.
What about a sock full of mayonnaise?
No.
Gross.
No. Okay, would you rather be forced to swap every gift you open with the person sitting next to you or keep the first gift you pick no matter what? Gonna say keep the first gift I pick no matter what.
I'm thinking keep, yeah. Okay, would you rather be that person who accidentally brought the worst gift to the exchange or the one who steals the most popular gift and makes enemies?
Steal. I'll make some enemies.
Let's make some enemies.
Yeah.
I mean, we already kind of talked about we wouldn't want to be the one that brings the bad gift.
Yeah. I've been the one that brought the bad gift before. It doesn't feel good.
And wrapping up, would you rather receive a regifted item from last year's exchange or something you know someone bought at the dollar store?
I don't know. We could really get into the depths of what regifting really says about the present you're regifting. Like, that means that it was unwanted by the person who's giving it away. So,
but dollar store's cheapo.
Well, yeah.
They're both cheapo, actually.
Yeah, it's the most cheap way out. I mean, it's okay. I have to tell the gift that I was actually stressing about this morning, and I thought it was amazing. It was a practical gift, but it had a funny aspect to it. And I think I did it at Dirty Santa here at our Christmas thing, but I don't think people liked it. So this is what it was. It was a big old pack of batteries and it said toy not included and nobody got it. And I'm like, when you buy toys, it says batteries not included. So I gave you the batteries and you just got to pick the toy.
I cannot imagine that would have been entirely unpopular because that was actually a gift that I gave one year.
Yes, I got that. And I still use that caddy with all the batteries. Oh, it's fabulous. I love it.
So I'm a fan of batteries. I understand how.
Maybe it wasn't our work thing. Maybe it was a friend thing, and I thought it was great because I'm like, batteries are freaking expensive. But they didn't get it. I just thought it was funny.
Man, I don't remember that.
So maybe it wasn't our staff one. Okay, so what is Dirty Santa? The term Dirty Santa comes from a playful stealing aspect, while White Elephant refers to impractical gifts. Okay, so I've kind of used them interchangeable, but they are apparently very different.
Dirty Santa is the best.
Dirty Santa is, people are going for giving good gifts, but they can just be stolen. White Elephant is very much sort of, I have heard it used in two very different ways. I've heard white elephant used to describe like silly, impractical stuff, like for instance, a white elephant.
Yeah.
But then I've also heard it described as more
bizarre things.
Yeah, more sort of
the 8-foot tall
dirty
giraffe.
leaning
oh, okay.
and so forth.
I was saying 8-foot tall giraffe. Yeah. You were talking dirty. Okay. You can trace the roots back to Victorian era parlor games. Did not know they were doing that back in the parlor days. The basic rules: each player brings a wrapped gift with a preset budget. Players draw numbers. Gifts can be stolen a limited number of times. Yada, yada. Y'all know it. It usually is kind of decided in advance. Like, are you doing more practical? Who's your audience? Because obviously, if it's a group of your friends, then you can be a little bit more on the personal side, kind of funny side. If you're doing it at work, you need to visualize what if your boss got this gift. So you need to play to your audience.
And when it comes to stealing at work and outside of work, I always use this rule. It's 3 times max, which includes the opening of the gift. So that's the first one. And then it can be stolen, I guess, twice, official steals, and then it is locked in and that person owns it.
Yeah, that's how it is. And you set your rules, you have fun with it. And it's a fun way for everybody to get a gift, walk away with something. They may love it or not, and there may be side deals after the fact. But so that's kind of our first half of this episode. So you better get it, which
better head to the liquor store.
Where some people might do those last minute Dollar Tree or, go to Target and get to the dollar section, whatever it may be. But remember to put that in your budget if you're supposed to be doing Dirty Santa gifts. Okay, so now we're going to flip gears and go into the true meaning of Christmas. So Cam or Cort, y'all want to talk for a minute? Because I've been talking everybody's head off.
Yeah, how about we kick it off with the most popular Christmas toy, the year we were born.
Oh.
Well, this is fun. Okay. Well, we could take Katie and I will share a year, but Cort, give me 1973.
1973, apparently the most popular Christmas toy was Shrinky Dinks. I don't even know what that is.
Sounds like a Victorian era
Shrinky
game.
Dinks. Hold on, I gotta look.
Idea what
I gotta look what
are.
Shrinky Dinks are.
I remember Tiddlywinks, but not Shrinky Dinks.
Well, we'll fast forward to 1988, the year Katie and I was born. That would be the Nintendo Entertainment System, along with Super Mario Bros. 3. Also, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figures, Pound Puppies, and Micro Machines. Man, that was a good year.
We had some good toys.
So this was not the original NES because Super Mario Brothers 3?
Yeah.
This must have been a later version of the NES. I know the NES was out when I was around that age, but Super Mario Brothers 3 didn't come out with the NES. That would have been...
I'm going to look this up.
I'm looking up these Shrinky Dinks. They're still around. It's sheets that can be heated and shrink down, but you can color them, and there's sets of them, and it's a big deal. So you really were customizing things. There's Shrinky Dink earrings now.
Okay, 1985 was the Nintendo Entertainment System, NES. 89 was the Game Boy. 91 was the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Okay. So I guess it was that original one that just kind of stayed popular for 3 years.
Yeah.
Maybe the price came down a little bit and 88 was like, oh, everybody's getting it.
Yeah, maybe that's what it
Continued. Well, and it's probably better games, things like that.
Maybe by then Super Mario Brothers 3 had come out. I don't know, but...
Okay, and Nicole, she is not on this episode, but 1996, Tickle Me Elmo was the big toy.
1996.
She's so young.
She's such a baby.
I graduated from college college in 96.
So here's putting all on the spot. Here we are the Thursday before Christmas. What does Christmas really mean to you?
I hate questions like this. As I heard somebody say recently, I would rather walk across a carpet made entirely of Legos barefoot than answer a question like, what does Christmas mean to me?
Yeah, I don't mind answering it. Mine's from the religious perspective, where Christmas gets its name. It's the birth of Christ, and so that's really important to me. But also, like, the joy and the gift giving is really fun too. It's just kind of a magical way to wrap up the year. So yeah, mine's two-part, but it's a season of giving and gratitude and the
giving and receiving and loving and receiving and giving. Yeah. And giving love and receiving gifts and loving giving.
The birth of Christ reigns supreme for me. That is the reason for the season. It can be easy to forget that. What about you, Katie?
I mean, I absolutely agree with that. I think there's a lot of components of it. There's the religious aspect, which is very important. There's the family. There's the gathering. One of the things my mom and I were actually talking about, because my mom is an absolute superstar. She has decorated over like 25 trees just this season already this year. And it's for schools. It's for friends that need help with it. It's for, offices, family, all this stuff like that. Her and I were talking last week, and it's just, you get so wrapped up in, you got to have the decorations. You got to have this. You got to do that. You got to do this. That sometimes it all is just rush, get it all ready for that day, get the house ready, get the house clean, get the food ready, get the presents, that you lose sight of it a little bit because it's so much that's crammed into December. Holiday parties, getting stuff done. Christmas should be ultimately about making memories, being with family together, the joy of watching kids and adults open presents that you have thought long and hard about purchasing for them, and watching their excitement, because we are such a fast-paced society. It is go, 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 go. We do not stop to smell the roses. I mean, even media, we see that. Somebody announces something, everyone's talking about it, and the very next day there's something else to talk about. And so I think that that's one of those things of like, Christmas is a time to try and, at least on the day itself, slow down, be in the moment with family. And I remember when I was younger, it used to be like immediately, like, people were texting like, oh, what'd you get? What's going on? Like, everybody's sharing. And I've tried the past couple of years to, I'll have my phone to take a picture if like my nieces are doing something cool, but try and be present. I mean, I think that's really what I feel like Christmas should be about, is remembering, again, yes, the religious aspect of it, but also the time and the memories you're making with the people you're choosing to spend Christmas with.
Right. Yeah. And that's a good point. The family time is really important to me. That's one of the few times in the entire year all my siblings get together, all my brothers-in-law, my parents. It's great.
Ideally, if you can get everybody together and successfully have everybody come together in one place and meet, and enjoy the day, that is a good Christmas. I think probably family, and just, I'm a big fan of the music and the decorations and stuff, the like movies, that. The season, just generally the season, and Christmas Day can be sort of the culmination of all of that. But then every now and then it's kind of almost like, if one little thing goes wrong, it can set somebody off and just sort of ruin their whole day. So you got to kind of focus in on the good parts.
Because there is some, when you get family all together, there can definitely be some family drama. That is something to navigate, because a couple years ago we did an episode about Thanksgiving and how like the conversations not to have at the dinner table. Well, that's kind of the same thing when it comes to Christmas. Is we've seen all the Christmas movies, when you got people piled up in the same house together, everybody together, there's going to be someone who insults somebody else, and politics, religion, stuff's going to get brought up.
I don't know if we've talked about this on the show, but are you a Christmas Eve person or a Christmas Day person? And I have my answer, and I think it's changed as I've gotten older. I'm Christmas Eve.
Okay.
It's kind of magical that day and that evening. You have something to look forward to. Christmas Day just happens like that, and then it's over, and then there's kind of this depression that sets in, like, oh, we're done. But Christmas Eve, you're building up to something.
You got the anticipation.
It's really nice that evening. And
I remember when I was a kid, I loved Christmas Eve, but also, Christmas Eve, it felt like the day Christmas Eve took forever to pass. And we've always been a family that gives gifts on Christmas Day. And so the actual getting up in the morning of Christmas and getting the gifts and stuff, that was always something that as a kid you looked forward to, right? And it just felt like Christmas Eve went on and on and on. It was like, what can I do to pass the time so Christmas will get here faster? But then, Christmas would come, and within just a little while, you've got all your presents, and then all you have left to do as a child is eat when it's time to eat, and mess with your stuff. As an adult, I don't have the problem with Christmas Eve dragging on anymore. It feels like it flies by in a flash, and it feels like Christmas Day flies by in a flash.
It all goes really quickly because it changes from the magic of you're a kid and it's just like, oh my gosh, Santa's never going to get here. This is never going to happen, to like, oh, we got to hurry up and do this. We got to get this. We got to go with here. What's our timing? And I've kind of felt that. So we never really had a big Christmas Eve tradition. One of my mom's friends, family friends, used to host a party. And so that was the only thing we'd do is we'd go to that in the afternoon. And it was kind of Christmas Eve was just relaxing, chill. You know, maybe if there's finishing wrapping some gifts, something like that. But then Daniel, his family does a big Christmas Eve event. And so that was kind of different. It's like, oh, I got to actually get dressed up for Christmas Eve, do that. So that changed stuff. But Christmas Day, my family jokes with me. I am very big on not having changes, which is very hard in my family because obviously when my brother got married and then when they started having kids, then we shifted from one room in the house to another. And I'm like, where's our spots? I'm like Sheldon Cooper. I'm like, where's my spot? What's happening here? Who's encroaching on my area? Because I'm just a creature of habit. I love that even though I'm not staying at my parents' house on Christmas, like we don't walk into that part of the house until Dad comes down and says, okay, it's time. So it's still, I get the thrill of why is Poppy not awake yet? Get Dad up. Like, what's going on? And Mom's in the kitchen, fixing some breakfast. And still every year it surprises me. And this is just like where I want to make time slow down. I'll then have to leave my parents' house and then go over to my house to then get ready for my in-laws to come over. And it's just like, oh man, I just want to like stay and chill. I don't want to leave.
It's hard to leave your family to go to in-laws or
and I want to still see them as well. But I'm like, can we just switch this and make it like 2 days? Yeah. Like, what's going on here?
Since we're a financial podcast, you want to talk about the financial side of Christmas?
Absolutely.
In 2023, Americans were projected to spend an average of $975 on gifts alone. This includes presents for family, friends, and coworkers, and that seems a little low to me.
Yeah, low. I tend to agree with you, but I mean, on average.
Yeah, I get you.
For how many people?
It just says
average. On average.
So the average American family is what? 2 parents and 2.5 kids?
2.5 kids.
And then if you're adding in friends and coworkers, I feel like that's low. I'm going to speak on this and because that's where like I've really struggled with this year. I didn't get a jump on getting Christmas presents and stuff together. So I'm now kind of like finishing up my panic of trying to find stuff. I'm torn because I don't want to buy just junk for people that they don't want. I always try and find gifts that I know they'll really like. They're things like that. So with that often comes more expensive because it's last minute. And the other thing is it's kind of sometimes better to only give a smaller thing that you feel like they're really going to like versus just giving them a bunch to give them stuff. Because that's always a hard thing of, Cam, do y'all do this with your kids, try and balance the number of gifts they have?
Yeah, well, it's a number of gifts or how much we spend. There is definitely balance there.
Yeah.
Because kids are smart. They know if somebody got more or a more expensive thing.
Yeah, and I know my mom would always struggle, and she's still actually, we're struggling with my nieces because one, Cora, she loves girly stuff, and she'd be happy with like purse full of jewelry and like fun little lip glosses and dress up clothes versus my older niece, she wants like gift cards to her like V-Bucks things, and she wants things that are not like bigger.
Right.
And it's exactly like my brother and I, because like I wanted like clothes and shoes and stuff, and it was bigger stuff, and Chris wanted like games. And so then it'd be like little DVDs, and she's like, it looks like Chris has nothing, but Katie has a ton. And it's when you look at the dollar amount.
This Christmas, Stella wants a vanity. She's kind of at that age, but that's expensive. It's a big gift. And so she knows like she won't get as many items as the boys will, but she has the more
She has a big
gift.
thing. Yeah, because it's people are balancing that out. And it's still, let's talk about finance aspect of it. This time of year, I think all of us are kind of caught off guard when someone gives us a gift and you're like, I don't have anything for you.
Shelby.
Yes. It's like one of those that, you have intentions, and it's not that you forget about buying stuff for people. It's just that you have a list that you build out and you're like, I know I need to get these gifts for people. So how do y'all feel? Let me ask you this question. How do y'all feel about if Christmas gifts come to y'all after Christmas? Like within like a couple weeks after Christmas.
Like from friends?
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'll receive a gift anytime. I won't feel as much pressure to get them a gift if it's after Christmas.
But no, so like if like, for instance, our fabulous coworker Shelby came into town, she works remotely. She dropped by gifts to several of us. And so I know all of us are wanting to get her something to give back to her. So what do you think about if it's, hey, with you're busy trying to get your family and stuff together, you send Shelby a gift after Christmas?
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, it has to be before Christmas.
Not necessarily. I mean, I wouldn't mind receiving a gift late. I feel like I would prefer to give the gift early or on time. But I mean, that's just because I'm prone to be hyper-focused on being at places in a timely manner.
Yeah, Christmas Day gives you that deadline. If it's after Christmas, I'm going to drag my feet. And that gift may never be given.
May never be given.
End. Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many times, for instance, this is sort of an example that lends itself to what Cameron was saying, but it's also kind of different. But a lot of times, if we don't get our Christmas cards out prior to Christmas Day, then all of a sudden we're sending out like Happy Valentine's Day from the Winsets. It's just, if we don't get it done before Christmas, then it just doesn't happen, or it takes forever for it to happen.
Yeah. And that's another expense right there, is Christmas cards.
Oh, yeah.
The Spans did not do a Christmas card this year. This is the first year. It was just a really busy season and we just couldn't fit it in. Abby's still coming to grips with it. She hates it.
I was going to say, I always look forward to y'all's Christmas card.
Not this year.
See, like I say that, and yet like I still have not done a Christmas card since, like, I'm a part of my parents, but I've never done one, me and Daniel. And I've toyed with the idea of doing one this year, but it's like, where's the time go? And I got to collect the dresses, and it's like, what's happening with that? But I mean, that's all the other expenses that happen with Christmas, is the decorations, the travel, the meals, which we've talked about that. Budget more than you think it's going to be. There's movies out there like The Christmas with the Cranks, things like that teach you of, hey, if you think you're getting out of hosting Christmas dinner, and then all of a sudden your kid calls and says, hey, we're actually coming home for Christmas, you're probably going to have a fight in the grocery store over that last honey baked ham.
Yeah, I have recently, basically since my kids started going away to school, which has been quite a while ago now, 2016, I guess, was when they started leaving home. There are years that come and go, and I'm thinking, okay, we're not going to have everybody home this year. And somehow they always manage to get back home. I think my youngest has missed one, maybe two Christmases. One, she was actually in town, but missed the Christmas anyway. And the other one, she just didn't come into town. But it seems like no matter what, they always find a way to get back home. So
make sure you're prepared if they're going to show up. And, I think that's a lot of the stress on, well, what do you mean you're not making your famous XYZ dip or breakfast or something like that?
With all this talk of spending, I think it's important to note this statistic here from a Lending Tree survey. It found that 31% of Americans go into debt during the holidays, with many struggling to pay it off into the new year. Now, that makes sense to me.
That's a huge thing, because you truly you're wrapped up in the Christmas spirit, but you're also, and so you're just like, oh yeah, let's do this, let's do that. Taking the kids ice skating, going to different markets, going to different things, going out to dinner with friends or getting drinks with them, things like that. You're going to be spending more money. And so it could be that you're wrapped up in the Christmas spirit and then reality hits you, or it could be that you financially can't afford to do all this stuff, but you do not want to let other people know you can't.
Yeah.
And so you're keeping up with that perception that you're not going to tell your kid, hey, we can't afford that vanity this year. You're going to make it work because you're trying to make the Christmas magic happen. And let's address that that's a real thing. Mm-hmm. Like, as much as we are a financial podcast and we would tell you, don't do that, don't go into debt, we also understand fully sometimes there's things that has to happen because it's what you have to do for your family. It's what you have to do to keep the magic alive, things like that. Now, ideally, we hope that doesn't happen, which is why we talk about saving money all year long for Christmas, things like that. But it happens. And that's what I would say is if it happens, you get yourself in that position, immediately take awareness of it and put action into place to try and address it.
Exactly. And I think because Christmas is right at the end of the year, it's easy to not rationalize spending and just tell yourself, we'll circle back to it in the new year.
Yep.
We'll deal with these expenses later.
2025's problem.
Abby and I are guilty of that. We were talking the other night, we're like, we've already spent a lot. What's another however much money?
Yeah.
We'll deal with it later.
It's all of us. Every single one of us do it. We all blow our budget. We all do things like that. And it's just because it's the time of year. And unfortunately, it's like bam, bam, bam. You went Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. You got New Year's. And then it's like, oh, what am I bringing from 2024 into 2025?
And then taxes.
and then you got taxes. Hidden cost also, electricity bills can rise due to the lights. Clark Griswold, I know right now I'm running a light show every night in front of my house. It's synced to music. And so So it's a lot of electricity going on and running, but I do it for the neighbors and for everybody to kind of have the enjoyment, and it's fun. So I know that's going to be an extra cost. Travel expenses, flights, gas, accommodations. We have seen all the movies and heard all the horror stories of flights getting delayed, having to rent a car, having to book a hotel room. You may or may not get reimbursed, but your goal is you got to get home. So what are you going to pay? So the non-material meaning of Christmas. So family and community, we talked about this. A 2022 Pew Research survey showed that 81% of Americans view family gatherings as the most important part of the holidays, which is kind of what we talked about. Like, that's a really big part of getting everybody together. And again, it's funny. I did see something that was like, didn't I just see all these people a month ago?
Yeah.
Some people may not have the same sentiment, but I know some people have to pick. Do they do Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Oh, indeed. Travel. I mean, for instance, again, back to my daughter, my youngest, she chose Christmas this year, so we didn't see her at Thanksgiving. She's only going to make the cross-country trek for one of the holidays, and so they're coming home for Christmas this year.
That wild statistic here, the 81% that value the family time, I think it's an important reminder to check in with those who don't have family or who don't have good relationships with family. Mm-hmm. Because I guarantee you they're lonely.
Christmas time is depressing. It can be. Again, it was a conversation my mom and I were talking about of how Christmas brings out a lot of emotions, whether happy or sad, because you think about all the people who aren't there. I know, like, I have a ton of Christmas decorations, the things that were passed down for me from my mom, from my grandmother, things like that. And so I'm thinking about them. And so I think it's also those that aren't with you, but then also those that are here. If you know a neighbor that's lonely, if you know anybody, just check in on them and just offer hey, we've got an extra spot at the table if you want to come by, or anything, just checking on them. You don't have to open your house to somebody, but at least just a Merry Christmas. Or one of the coolest things that I've seen is, and I know people get away from it a little bit more because they're worried about where's it coming from? But if you're a baker or anything like that, or your kids are little and wanted to just make a card and say, Merry Christmas from the Span Clan, like whatever, and just stick it in their mailbox. Okay, generosity. The holiday season inspires acts of kindness like donations to shelters and toy drives. We are ringing a bell for the Salvation Army.
We sure are.
And so...
I'm not.
You can if you want.
No.
You can join us and ring the bell.
That'll be a hard no.
But yeah, you've got people ringing bells. You've got people asking to round up when you order something.
I was watching the news this morning, and the news station that I was watching, they were doing a big gift drive for Agape, the Catholic Church of Memphis, or something like that. Catholic Charities. I think. Anyway, they had two different organizations, and they were basically collecting items of need. People, stuff that people need, like diapers and blankets and clothes and toys, and just basically whatever you can give, come give it to us. So this is obviously one of the biggest seasons for that people feel that generosity of spirit and feel like, okay, I can give something right now because I'm in a better situation than a lot of other people out there or whatever. And
I've seen some families do like, hey, you're going to probably get some new toys for Christmas, go through some of your other toys and let's donate that, give to other people. Angel trees are big right now of different organizations adopting families and picking particular things. And my father-in-law does a huge bike drive in Alabama and has a ton of bikes donated, has a lot of bikes that show up, and gives it to a bunch of the kids in the community. And so obviously, if that's something you want to do, you're probably going to be compelled at some point, you're going to kind of be persuaded to help out and do it. If you financially can afford to do it, if you can't, then it's okay to just be like, unfortunately, can't help out. You're not going to be, lightning bolt hits you. It's fine. So reflections and blessings, the deeper emotional value of the season. Definitely, we talked about that. For many, Christmas holds religious significance as a celebration of Christ's birth, emphasizing themes of hope, renewal, and generosity. Reason for the season, a lot of people have very big traditions about going to church, whether they're doing midnight mass, if they're going to church on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, whenever it is, Christmas programs at the churches or the schools, so many different components of that, which is why a lot of people will get very upset if you shorthand Christmas as Xmas.
Yeah.
Because you're removing Christ from it. And so just be aware if, I know you're shorthanding it, but just be aware some people may get offended by that.
Seems like these days everybody's getting offended about it. So, I mean, you can't take a step in this world without offending someone these days.
I vividly remember when I did it, many, many years ago, I was texting my mom and it was like something, I said Xmas, and she goes, please don't say it. Please don't do that. You're removing Christ. I was like, I'm so sorry. I just was shorthanding it.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that too. We touched on the theme of grief a few minutes ago, but I'll read read this anyways. For many, Christmas is difficult due to the loss of loved ones. It's okay to lean on one another during the holiday season. Practice patience with one another because you never know what someone has been through. This reminds me of one of my favorite Christmas movies. Can you guess? It has to do with like grief and patience. It's The Family Stone.
Oh, yeah. That's a great one.
I love that movie. It's about a big family and they go through a lot. And the mother, she's dealing with some, I don't want to spoil it, but some issues that the kids don't know about. So it has to do with a lot of patience and there's craziness around the season. I really respond to that movie. You know, I kind of feel that within my own life.
Yeah, because it's a lot of people will put on a brave face and kind of hide what they're actually going through for the holidays, not to dampen the mood.
Right.
So we're kind of wrapping this up, balancing the two sides. We're balancing, obviously, the family and community side, the grief side, the generosity side. So looking at the material and the non-material meanings of Christmas. With everything, what do? You define your priorities. Look at what matters most. Is it gifts? Is it quality time? Is it creating memories? Studies show that experiences often bring more long-term happiness than material goods. So kind of, just really internally figure out what's most important to you. Now, while yes, somebody may be disappointed that you don't mail them a gift, but instead you show up for a half a second, they may be like, well, what do you mean I don't get a gift? Then they'll be like, wait, but you're here.
I doubt anybody ever is going to say anything like that. If I show up, I'm like, hey, I'm here.
Hey, I am your gift. I am.
Check me out. I'm your gift.
Well, I didn't tell y'all that y'all's gifts this year was another renewal friendship with me. Like you get to renew one more year of friendship. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Katie.
Set a meaningful budget. Oh, that word again.
Yeah. I mean, it is a thing. As much as you might say, sometimes you might have to go over budget because you want to make sure that blah, blah, blah. Some people are just absolutely, if you don't have a lot of credit, you simply can only spend what you have.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you need to make sure that you have it earmarked for the things that must be paid versus the things that may be paid.
Yeah. And it's looking at friend groups and family members, like kind of trying to decide, hey, are we all going to buy each other gifts or are we going to go out to dinner together? If you're talking about like friend groups or things like that. Family, it's, if you got large groups, kind of setting that expectation because I know, Cam, you've got lots of siblings. And so then your siblings have kids and it would be daunting for every single one of you to buy every single sibling, parent, and child a gift.
Yep. And that's why we have it to where our children, so the grandchildren, they swap names, and then the siblings and the spouses, we swap names. Me and my sisters and brothers-in-law, we have our own little evening together where we enjoy beverages and hang out, and we do our own swap. The kids have babysitters. Our parents aren't involved. It's just a really fun time. But yeah, it's a good way to not have to buy every single person a present and go into serious debt.
Yeah, because that's what's daunting about it is like you have to buy all these gifts, and it's just like, my mom talks about it all the time of how she was the last of her siblings to have kids and she would always buy all of their kids gifts, all her siblings, parents, stuff like that. And then when her kids started coming along, they're like, oh, let's switch. And she's like, I bought all their kids gifts every single year.
Yep.
Of course, reason for the season, never mind. But yeah, it's good to just have a standard. That's always been a big shift with me with friends trying to figure out like, thought we weren't doing gifts this year. I didn't buy you anything. Like, what are we doing? And I think that also goes hand in hand with birthdays too. It's like, I will get people stuff for their birthdays if I've really found something for them.
Yeah.
But then there's some years that I'm like, I didn't really find anything. I'm going to find something and you may get a gift in a random month. Find the middle ground. It's important to create a holiday season that is both joyful and financially sustainable because yes, the stress will be there. And hopefully you're not sitting there going, because I think this causes rifts between spouses as well. I thought we weren't buying the iPad. I thought we weren't doing this. And it's, purchasing things like that and that there's not a discussion. Try and make it joyful. And maybe for the day of Christmas, don't think about finances for a second. I know that's me as a financial advisor telling y'all don't think about finances, but sometimes you have to just be in the moment and enjoy. So practice gratitude. Oh, here's a question that Cort's not going to like. What is BullCast thankful for this holiday season?
That's a Thanksgiving question. I'm not answering that. Thanksgiving's over.
You gave a great speech at our Thanksgiving luncheon about all the things you were thankful for.
Yeah.
Because I made you kickstart the whole thing.
The quote that I quoted at the beginning of this podcast when we talked about the true meaning of Christmas, or at the middle of the podcast when we switched to the true meaning of Christmas, that actually I think was a quote that I saw on a meme on Facebook or something that was, I would rather walk across a room covered in a carpet made of Legos barefoot than talk about what I'm thankful for this year. It just applies to a whole lot of things. There is a level of positivity that I just sometimes can't muster.
Gives you the ick.
and, I'm just like, okay, well, I'm glad that all of you are thankful, but I got nothing left in the tank.
And that's okay.
It's the end of the year.
That's fine. we are going to promise to keep going with this podcast, keep things going. Things will be changing a little bit in 2025, but wait and kind of talk about that at our next episode.
I'm so used to we just record every single week, and there's going to be weeks and weeks.
Yeah. Okay, I'll speak for the guys and about what BullCast is thankful for this holiday season. Thankful for our listeners. Thankful that we get to do this and talk to you guys and kind of share our stories, our personal stuff of what's going on. But again, thankful for the people who continue to comment and give us ideas, recommend guests, because we definitely want to do that continuing in 2025. But we're going to wrap this up, kind of bullseyeing this episode that started out as Dirty Santa, really went into more the deeper meaning of Christmas. So just remember, give yourself some grace. You're a couple of days away from Christmas. You are almost there. It's not about how much you spend. It's about the love and generosity and connections that you foster during this. It's about the memories. Somebody may remember if they didn't get their Turbo Man under the tree or, Barbie Dream House, something like that. But just try and be with people you want to be with and make the best of it. And if you do put yourself in a financial situation, you know who to call.
Ghostbusters?
I was just about to say that.
Not Ghostbusters.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, there's the closing bell. You've made it to the end of yet another episode of the BullCast podcast. If you liked what you heard and you'd like to hear more, please feel free to go to your favorite subscription service and sign up to have our podcast beamed directly to your listening device every single Thursday at noon. If you'd like to find out more about Cort, Katie, Cameron, or Nicole, please feel free to go to our website. That website is bullcastpodcast.com. We've got pictures, we've got bios, we've even got a place where you can drop a comment or suggest a topic you'd like to hear us talk more about. But hey, I mentioned pictures. If you like pictures, we do have an Instagram handle. That handle is at BullCastPodcast. And we also have an X handle, which is at BullCast Podcast as well. We also have a Facebook page, which we communicate through pretty regularly, and that Facebook page is BullCast the Podcast. But ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. As you know, Katie, Cam, Cort, and Nicole, all four of us work at a place called Pickler Wealth Advisors. And if you'd like to find out more about what we could potentially do for you, find out about our amazing team, and find out about our boss, David Pickler, please feel free to go to that website. That website is, drumroll please, picklerwealthadvisors.com.
That's advisors with an O.
Not an E.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've given you everything you need to go forth like a little drummer boy and have a very Merry Christmas. So for now, I'm Cort.
I'm Katie.
I'm Cam.
And we're done.